Now, last month, the football legend Graham Souness told us here on Breakfast he was taking on the challenge of swimming the Channel.
He was inspired by a 14-year-old girl named Isla, who has a rare skin condition called EB. And yesterday, Graham completed the 21-mile journey as part of a 6-person relay team.
John Maguire has been following his story. He's in Dover and he joins us now. And John, what a weekend it's been for the whole team.
Oh, an incredible weekend, Sally. Let's say good morning to the team. Morning, team.
Good morning.
In good voice. How are you feeling this morning?
Good.
Yeah, they're fibbing, you know. They're absolutely exhausted. An extraordinary weekend. You said 21 miles, and quite right. I think as the crow flies, it is 21 miles. But with the tides, of course, it's far, far longer than that, far further than that. A really incredible achievement. We'll talk about it later on in a few minutes' time. But certainly, Andy, Isla's dad, and Graham hadn't really done much swimming before. But after just 9 months of training in very capable hands, they got to the point where they could swim those 2-hour legs in the Channel, in the dark, in thunderstorms, in awful conditions, with ferries, with jellyfish. We'll hear about it all later. An incredible achievement, raising lots and lots of awareness for this dreadful genetic condition. Have a look at this.
They've planned it for a year, they've trained for it for 9 months, so now they have to do it. Graham Souness and 5 other swimmers are about to attempt a non-stop relay swim across the English Channel. Their calling, their mission, their inspiration are people like 14-year-old Isla, who has the rare genetic disorder epidermolysis bullosa, EB.
See you later.
Isla was in Dover to see them off. Her mum Rachel by her side, her sister Emily on the phone from America, and her dad Andy on the boat as part of the swim team.
How are we feeling?
Ready.
Really?
Yeah, really ready.
Nervous?
Not the slightest.
A final good luck call before the Channel crossing started.
How are you? So, oh, very good. So what are you doing, just watching a bit of TV?
For the first swimmer, Sean, one of 3 former Royal Marines in the team, a busman's holiday as he swam from the support boat to a beach near Dover. That hooter meant the challenge had started.
Change over.
For Sean and Andy came Graham's turn to swim for an hour.
Lovely.
Among cargo ships and ferries, with only the light of the support boat to guide him.
That was tough. I thought it was tough.
Well done.
Tough.
Each swimmer entered the water after precisely 60 minutes. Isla's dad was up next.
I'm quite emotional, to be honest. Yeah, I just got a lot of it. Yeah, there's people who've gone before us with EB and fought this fort, and you hear the phrase standing on shoulders of giants, and people with EB aren't giants physically, but mentally and courage wise they are giants, and to do something to help them and those that have passed is just, you know, carry on the fight.
Next in, husband and wife team Rob and Steph, whose swim heralded a new day. As the team donned cold and damp wetsuits for their second leg, the English coast disappeared and the French coast appeared. Tired, deprived of sleep, the end was in sight, but still almost 6 hours away. If the first swim was disorientating, the second was emotional.
There was time to think.
Yeah, you think a lot.
What do you think about?
The obvious thing.
A few things went through my head. Strangely how lucky I am to have Isla in my family and be part of the EB community and meet these guys. It's fantastic. The best time of the last 15 years for me. And yeah, how fragile Isla and the other EB kids are, yet how strong at the same time. It's these, you know, lucky or unlucky at the same time, but strong and fragile at the same time. But it's got to end. This has to end. You know, the pain has to stop. You know, I've just done an hour in there and it's stopped, and it's chat to you. But for them it never stops. So I've got to stop it.
Fighting time and tides, a final push saw the team make landfall in France in 12 hours and 17 minutes. And despite the physical and mental toll, not for a second did they forget why they did it.
Well, I'd say it's one of the best experiences of my life. Fantastic team, really loved it, but it's one of the worst conditions you can possibly imagine, and that has to stop.
Yeah. Why did you do it, Graham?
Because I came across the disease. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and we'll have to find a way, a cure, ultimately a cure for it. We'll have to find a way to make life easier for the children's day-to-day life. It is the cruelest, nastiest thing I've ever witnessed in my life, and I know other people will say things differently, but for me it's the worst thing I've ever seen, and I just wanted to be part of a fight that helps these poor kids. And in the last 9 months we've worked hard, and we've got here today, and I can't tell you, it's a mixture of elation, but also I'm knackered.
She had counted them out and Isla counted them back in.
I think they swam well. I wasn't on the boat, so I don't know, but from what I've been hearing, they swam very well. Fun.
Yeah, they're proud of you too, you know that, don't you?
There is no cure for EB, but Graham, Andy and the team have raised more than £1 million, money that will fund research into repurposing existing drugs in an attempt to treat and to cure. This challenge may be over, but the fight against EB, the most cruel of diseases, is not.
It's got rowing girls.
Yeah, that fight really goes on. Isla, morning.
Morning.
You okay?
Yes.
What have the last few weeks been like?
A bit hectic, but enjoyable.
Enjoyable how?
It's just been quite fun doing all the media and coming down here to watch these two swim.
And what do you think about what they did?
I think it was a very impressive swim. I don't think any other people could do it. So, well done.
Thank you.
They
That's
did.
a big thing, getting a well done from Isla.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
It was extraordinary. Worst part, Graham?
The first swim in the darkness, you know, we thought we were trained for it. That first swim was really, really difficult psychologically. I think what we didn't, and I've done some with my team, say our team, but Andy wasn't there. We went out a few miles a few days ago and to try to get used to the sort of different role of the ocean. I think looking back should have done more of that, because when you get out there, the undulating, it's unpredictable, and you know, it's all about getting into your stride and getting your breathing going. Couldn't quite get that. The darkness, you know, there was a period early on for me anyway, and I think for most of us in the first session, you're swiping away the jellyfish. Literally, you're pushing them aside to get through them with your strokes. I don't. It's a hard one. I don't think any of us have fully analysed it properly. Just being in the dark, it was off-putting.
Yeah.
So the first one was really difficult for all of us, and then the second one was more like it, more what we were prepared for.
You both swam incredibly strongly. Andy, in your first swim, the dark swim, it rained so hard. Tell us what you thought was going on.
Well, I wasn't sure what was going on. I hadn't noticed the rain to begin with, and then I thought someone was trying to get my attention by throwing things at my feet. So I briefly paused to look up and realised it was just raining, so I cracked on again.
Yeah. And when you all came out, certainly from that first swim, everybody had really puffy eyes, didn't they? Like you'd done 10 rounds with Tyson.
Yeah, the goggles are so tight on you, obviously, to keep the water out, and it obviously traps whatever blood's in there. But it's just been, John, I have to say that you've been fantastic to us. You really have. And I think you've been accepted early on with the banter that was going on, because you got some fierce banter earlier
Yeah,
on.
I've been.
So you were one of the team
abused.
because it's. I've always worked on the premise of, if you're going to play a sport or maybe anything in life, do it. Play sport or do it with people who are so much better than you. And we had the privilege yesterday of being part of a team with guys who are at another level of similar stuff, but maybe another level of mental toughness.
They held their own, though. Well, you held your own.
Well, I don't know about that.
No, you really did. We'll get the official judgment in just a second. Andy, in terms of EB, I assume over the last 14, 15 years, people have said to you, EB, what's that about? And I know, Graham, with you, people have said to you, what's all that about? Are you finding the awareness has increased? People now understand more about what Isla and the rest of the family and the rest of the people with EB go through?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, John, and that's so important for us. Get this awareness out, get people to understand what this condition is about, because it's awful, it's brutal, and we've got that interest swelling up, and we've gone so far in the last few weeks and months with the help of teams. It feels like a family. You heard the banter. It's a really close-knit group. We're bringing lots of people in because we've done a lot, but there's still a hell of a lot to do. Yeah. We really need to keep going and work on what we've got and not rest. It's a really successful weekend with everyone involved, but we need to now build on it and actually achieve what we want to achieve.
It's been quite fun reading the messages, Isla, hasn't it?
Yes,
sort of the what have you thought of all that?
I've been really touched on all the messages. So, yeah.
I think one of the things is that obviously people started off by talking about Graham, but increasingly they've talked about the family, and they've obviously talked about Isla as well. Is that something you've noticed, Graham?
Oh yeah, she's a star.
Star of the show.
She gave me a heart. We hadn't spoken. I came down. I was a couple of minutes late, and she's after me this morning. And I had to say, "Did you get up the wrong side of the bed this morning?"
Hang on, Graham was late, everyone.
Yeah, and she was the first one into me. No, she is an absolute star, and anyway, anyone who meets Isla has to be impressed. Right. Her daily challenges in life are something that you don't understand, and you would never understand until you witness them. And she's the bravest little girl, and she's just an absolute star. And throughout all this, she has held her own in pretty grown-up company most of the time. But you've been a star.
Most of the time, the grown-up company, you mean, don't you? Yeah. Should we bring the rest of the team in? Come on in, guys. Bring in the rest of the team who did a lot of the hard yards yesterday. Sean was the person that you saw. Hi, Rachel, Isla's mum. Sean was the first, and the Wolfs as well behind us, Mr. and Mrs. Wolf. Sean was the person who you saw go onto the beach that time. Sean, I want to ask you about how you got these guys from the point at which they weren't really swimmers to what we saw in the Channel over the weekend.
You know what? Well, thanks for having us on. I'm not sure I did get them to the point where they, were exactly right, but, to be frank, they did really well. It took some hard yards in some dark waters down in Dorset and all over the place, but they persevered. Graham, surprisingly, after nearly drowning on his first foray, did really well, and he really stuck to it through the dark and dingy months. But kudos to Andy as well, because he was on his own up in Scotland, walking over frosty beaches, trying to get in the water and do some stuff. So they did really well. I'm really proud of them, actually. And thank you for everybody that's donated. It's a really worthy cause. The true star here, though, is Isla.
Of course, always. Rachel, what's it been like for the family? A welcome distraction last few weeks?
It's been a little bit hectic, but
your life's always
enjoyable.
hectic.
Well, it is. Yeah. We just slot everything in, and just the awareness and the amazing comments and how generous everybody's been, but particularly the awareness. Isla doesn't like going out. She doesn't like going out because people stare at her, and because it's unusual, and people don't understand what it's like to be different. And I think it's great to have that awareness that everybody's different in many, many different ways, and just to put EB on the map, that people understand that it's genetic. It's not something we've done. Yeah. It's something that we have to live with, and it's a challenge every day.
Okay. All right, good to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thanks for everything that you've done with us over the last couple of days. It's been absolutely extraordinary. You should never stare at this young woman, but you should look at her with great admiration and inspiration as well. She is a wonderful, wonderful person. The work continues. As you've heard everybody say, the fight continues. They'll be at the House of Commons tonight to try and get that political, get that governmental force behind it. Lots of people are involved. Cure EB is another charity that's involved with the fight to try to make people's lives easier, really, to try to find an end to the suffering. But thank you, Isla. Great to see you. Thanks to everyone. Say goodbye to everyone at home. See you guys. Bye-bye, bye-bye.
We'll see you all again very soon. Thank you.
What a team. What a
team.
Fantastic effort. Yeah, just amazing.
Yeah, one of the best teams he's ever been on, I imagine.
I think you're right. It's coming up to 8:30. We're with you till 9:15 here on